I'm Eric. Work on Apex. I do weapons and loot, all the balance, all the meta, all that stuff comes through my team.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
No,
okay.
that's way better.
So, let's talk a little bit. I want to ask you a question first, okay? What's your favorite gun you've ever worked on for Apex?
Easily the 30-30.
30,
Okay.
are you the mastermind behind the 30-30?
That one was me. Oh,
was
yeah.
it actually?
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
I love the 30-30,
Oh,
man.
yeah, man.
Okay, now, for 30-30 right now, it's being used a ton in pro play.
Tons, yeah.
Tons. So, like, almost every team's rocking at least 2 to 3 repeaters.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the skull piercer right now being on the 30-30?
Excellent. And I'll tell you why.
Okay, yeah, I
Because
like
it's-
that. Yeah,
it's
I like that,
totally
yeah.
okay. So we love it when weapons kind of have this ebb and flow, right? Sometimes weapons are strong, sometimes they're a bit weaker. And hop-ups is one way that we're able to do that without just tanking numbers on it and making it feel unusable.
Totally.
We can bring hop-ups in, we can tune hop-ups hot, and then we can turn them off, we can rotate them, we can, change the loot spawns on them, we can make them bigger gates for you to have to find and loot into. You get it late game, you don't have it early game. So hop-ups are this device that we can just use to keep the weapon meta feeling fresh, feeling exciting, without having to go into lower damage, change the recoil, because we want guns to feel good. We don't want to change the in-hand feel of those weapons all the time. So I love that the 30-30 is getting a ton of play, and I love that the Skull Piercer is on it, and who knows if it'll stay. Who knows if we find new, fun, interesting hop-ups to have. If you play the game, you know the 30-30's had a lot of different hop-ups.
Yeah, 100%. The booster loader. It had the scatter shots too, whatever it was.
Yeah, shatter caps.
Shatter caps.
It had the dual loader. Then we integrated the dual loader in.
Okay.
So it's we're just looking for ways to make all of our weapons feel exciting, and then have fun moments in the spotlight.
Yeah. So how, with the 30-30 being in meta right now, how do you determine, as a dev, the lifespan of a gun being in meta, right? Because the R9 was meta for so long, and then it fell out, and then it came back, and now it's out again. Is there a way you determine how long a lifespan meta should be for a gun?
There's many different factors, many different data points, like community sentiment. We're always on Twitter and Reddit. We're when it gets fatiguing and people are like, "Oh, I'm so sick of this gun. It's just been here forever." Then we're like, "Okay, maybe let's take a look at it. Maybe it needs to come down." But we don't love to just nerf guns that are strong. We prefer to buff other shit and make it come up in the meta. And that's why you see 30-30 coming up, challenging some of those other long range weapons. So. Yeah, and then there's a lot of gut. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been working on weapons for Apex for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I just have a pretty good sense of what is feeling good, what's been out there a little bit too long, what needs to come down. So it's just a lot of gut feeling, a lot of different data points, and a lot of different community sentiment that we look at.
Yeah, a community sentiment I feel is very hard too, because there's some guns the community loves, and when they get touched, it's it needs to be nerfed or it needs to be buffed, and it happens, and then the community's boo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel there's no way to win in that regard.
You cannot please everyone. It is impossible.
That's in everything.
I would actually refuse to look at your DMs if you have them open. I would not want to see what those look like. And another question. Do you have a question you can ask too?
I got two.
Yeah,
you can go first.
All right. Another question I have is Nemesis. So the reason that I'm curious about this is because I feel it's such a strong weapon, right? And I feel instead of nerfing it, you guys put it in the replicator, right?
Yeah.
So when you put things in the replicator, do you guys have in mind, instead of just nerfing a weapon, you're okay, let's put it in the replicator so people just maybe use it less because you don't want to waste the points to use it, etc.
For sure.
And do you think that in the future, if it came out of the replicator, would you nerf it? You can obviously don't have to leak it. I'm just curious. Yeah.
The way that we look at the replicator is it's a tool for us, right? And in this particular case, it's a pressure release valve. The Nemesis is very strong.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
crazy.
But there's reasons that it's strong, right? When you're trying to dethrone the 301, the flatline, these titans of weapons that have dominated the meta every season for literally ever, you have to come out swinging. You have to have a gun that can get up there and that can compete with them. So that's why the Nemesis is as strong as it is, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't get the play, and it wouldn't achieve the goals that the team set out to do, which is challenge the 301, challenge the flatline. So we want to keep it strong, and we want to find the right way to adjust it. And the replicator allows us to give a little bit more time, a little bit more breathing room, see how the community is going to play now that they know what it does, know how it works. They don't use it all the time. It shows us how many people are willing to craft it. That shows us a little bit how strong it is. You're seeing it here today.
Yeah, people are crafting.
How often do you craft weapons? Not that often, right?
No, unless it's a sentiment weapon like me with a longbow.
Yeah,
I pick it up because I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
100%.
we use it like that. We use it. It's a tool for us, and then obviously we're going to make adjustments to the Nemesis. We're going to make adjustments to every gun in the lifetime of Apex. It's just a matter of what are those adjustments, what's healthy for the team, what's healthy for the community. and then finding the right time to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I feel like with the crafter, a lot of the times it does help the weapon kind of just like go under the radar a little bit more. And obviously the teams in competitive Apex that know they're going to be like mid-range or have a ton of crafting material, they're going to craft it up just because it's so broken. But at the end of the day, I think it's like pretty good for ranked, because I know for me, I'm not going to craft the Nemesis. I want to craft batteries instead and just fight.
Exactly.
So
what do you want to survive with batteries?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
You want that? You want
gotta
that
make
kind
that
of good
decision.
gun? Yeah.
Exactly, 100%. And now my last question that I have is PK disruptors. So PK has been out of the meta for a very long time, and SMGs have been in the meta. Do you think that, one, why do you think SMGs are in the meta? Do you think controller is a big reason for the up-close fights? Obviously, that's a hot take. It might cause a little bit of problems in chat, but mods can handle that. But I know that SMGs have been in the meta for so long, and PK just fell off. Did you feel like the SMGs were overtaking the PK, and that's why you put disruptors on it? Or what do you think the reason is? Because you put the disruptors on the alternator as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things there.
Yeah. Sorry, I just
no, it's fine. SMGs are strong.
Yeah.
SMGs are a dominant weapon category. There's no way around that.
Totally.
Aim assist is a part of it, sure, but it's not the only reason. And the last season we did more changes than just PK disruptors. Right, we took some stuff away from the SMGs in general, like less headshot damage, less strafe speed. So all of these things, like because they're so strong, we want to create more breathing room for things like shotguns.
Okay.
That's why the Mastiff got a blast pattern improvement.
Yeah,
That's why disruptors are on the PK. We want to take these guns that are fun, but can't really compete against just the burst potential that these SMGs have.
Absolutely.
So we take something as iconic and fun and exciting as the disruptor rounds, we put it on a gun everybody loves, and boom, you've got something really interesting, really exciting, really fresh. You haven't seen it before.
No.
And it's there. It's challenging. It's like maybe Gibby's going to come back. Maybe those bubble fights are coming up.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so again, hop-ups are a tool for us to bring stuff up and then tamp other things down without having to like change the feel, change the damage.
Just completely destroy a weapon or just make it impossible.
And if disruptors are stupid, then we can turn it off.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
It's a tool for us, for sure.
That's so sick.
Cool.
I mean, I like the disruptor ad, to me, personally.
It feels good to use an alternator disruptor and the PK.
That's like one of my favorite like guns of all time. I think is alternator disruptor.
It's so fun to see it, right?
I know,
like,
right? The
just
hip fire.
seeing people use that alternator. It's good. It's got decent range. It's got good damage. It's got the slower fire rate, so like you can keep on track. It's a fun gun to
I agree.
use.
I think it's like a really fun one to watch for viewers too. That's what I was saying with the PK, man. Is like I was always saying under my chat is SMGs are fun, but I feel like when the PK fell out of meta, it was like, damn, we're missing like a core aspect of Apex. Like
I totally
when
agree.
Apex first started, it was PK wingman, all the flashy shots, the flicks, and then like when that fell out of meta, it was just the sprays and all that shit. And then now with it back just a little bit more, and people can at least, if they don't find an SMG, can use that as an option. At least it's going to make them use it more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because before the PK didn't have disruptors, people would not find an SMG and just take like a long range weapon instead. But now they're like, oh, maybe a PK disruptors. I'm going to take that shit. It's kind of a fun time. So I think it's a W change for sure.
Cool. The question that I had was more of like a mindset question. I know you obviously take a lot of numbers into consideration, and you're looking at different modes like pubs, ranked, and competitive. I wanted to see if you could more explain how, like, when you come here, right, and you watch, like, the tournaments and you see certain guns are used, like, way more than others, which might not often be used, like, in pubs. How hard is it to kind of, like, find that balance in terms of, like, if you nerf this gun, it's not used so much in pubs, but it's used so much in competitive and vice versa?
It's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard to find that balance between, like, pubs, ranked, competitive. Tough to answer because we want – so when we're playing in the live game, when we're watching ALGS, when we're seeing all this stuff, we say, oh, my God, look what they're doing with the 30-30. I'm going to go do that myself. Right? It's all about, like, I want to like, live that fantasy. I want to go do what these guys are doing online. And so we don't want to just ruin that for players that want to emulate that and go to their own setups and play it. So when we make these balance changes, it's about the overall health, and we have to take in all of these different data points. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with, like, how long should we allow something to remain dominant in the meta? So, if it's been a while and ALGS is, like, popping off with it and they've been using it for a really long time, we'll let them have that, and then maybe we'll tamp it down later, or we'll bring something up to challenge that and see, like, if we bring this up, is that enough? Is that enough to challenge the 30-30? Like, we do something to the longbow. Is that going to take on the 30-30?
Do something to the longbow.
Hey, we're down for that.
Please do something for the longbow. Make me relevant again.
We want it to feel fresh, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
We want the metas to be exciting. We want you to read the patch notes and be like, whoa, disruptors on PK. I got to go play this season. I got to get in there. I got to get my hands on that and see what new, fun, and exciting stuff can I do in the sandbox.
That's totally fair. 100%.
My other question was more so regarding like personal playtime. You know, I wanted to see you. Obviously, you're very, very busy, I'm sure, and you're doing like the balances and stuff. I wanted to ask, how much time would you say you have to play the game yourself and enjoy it?
I am a day one player, so I've been playing Apex since the very beginning.
That's awesome.
I love the game. I play test the game every single day. So like we play test the game. I probably play at least 3-4 hours of play test a day. Maybe there's a skip of a day or two there.
Totally.
I do have a lot of meetings.
Yeah, I bet.
Of course.
But
I
then
know
in
you're
my
very
off
busy.
time, like for sure, I'm playing every season. Like I grind with my boys. Like we play
That's so
after
cool. Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So like there are nights we're playing. Get off work. Grind until bed.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome, dude. That's
But
so
I got
sick.
a new kid, so I don't have as much
Okay,
time to
yeah,
play now.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
congratulations. Thank you very
Congrats,
much.
man. Yeah, that's a valid
so
excuse.
I don't have as much time as I used to, but like I always make the time to play Apex, and
Yeah.
it's really, really vital for me to be playing Apex as much as possible, so I can make informed decisions. I can listen to people when they're having these conversations. I can understand the narrative that's going on online. Like I watch your guys' streams. Like it's very, very
Thanks,
important
man.
for me to hear what those conversations are, so that I can make good, impactful, and meaningful and healthy decisions for the game.
Yeah,
That's fair.
That makes a
That's
lot of
fair.
sense. I feel like I think it's good to talk about too, and I think like the main reason we were so down to have you guys on is because a lot of people like in the community don't think devs play the game, which is just like
That's why I asked that question.
It's a crazy
'cause
thing.
I wanted him to,
It's crazy.
to say.
How could I not?
I
like,
know. Yeah,
I have
exactly.
to play the game.
It's really your baby too.
Yeah.
Like you get to see like what you create or what you dictate. That's so sick. So I think it's very important for like, the community to understand. Like, yeah, they play. Like it's not just like
Have to play.
they make changes and then ship it out and then just go like and fucking do nothing. Like they understand what they're doing, which is awesome. That's pretty sick. And then one more thing actually that I thought of, random, but more correlates to ALGS right now. Is do you work on digital threats at all? Would that be your department as well?
Technically, that will fall under my team.
How do you feel about digital threats right now for ALGS? Because you're probably seeing a lot in this for sure.
So this is a very specific moment in time
Totally.
for the DigiThreat. And the
Yeah.
DigiThreat has been consistent throughout the lifetime of Apex. But then when every team is picking a Bangalore, you're like, all right, maybe Digi is pretty strong right now. But the thing that I always try to remind people is that the DigiThreat is one of Bangalore's best items as well. Like, it's good to counter Bangalore, but it also makes Bangalore pop off. So it's kind of like back to the weapon thing. It's got its moment. It is shining right now. It is doing serious work. And has that made me want to take a look at it a little bit closer? Absolutely. But we don't want to just nerf something into the ground because a specific moment in time it's popping off. Like this has been a consistent piece of loot throughout the game. And as the metas shift and there's that ebb and flow with both weapons and legends, and Bangalore comes out, maybe some of the more the Vision Obscurity legends are coming down, and that thing comes down as well. So we don't want to knee-jerk, right? We don't want to knee-jerk on changes. That's why you might see a change be in the game for a long period of time, but it's because we don't want to just make decisions and then we need the player base to allow it to settle, have time to really like work that into their own play styles and their own metas, and then that's when we decide, okay, it's a little bit too strong. Let's tamp it down. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense to me. No. I feel like this is a very specific time for the digital threat. Yeah, it is. It is so I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot. That this moment in time is like this is Digiland.
Yeah, 100%.
Was it yesterday? I counted, and it was 17 or 18 teams that had a Bangalore.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There was a lot.
But Bangalore also never really got love for a long period of time, like ever in competitive Apex specifically. So I feel like it's definitely people don't like going against it, but it's like you're going to have to deal with at least some things for a short period of time that you don't like. Personally, for me, thank God we have a digital threat because when I watch and I'm watching Bangalore smoke, if someone's not shooting with a digital threat, I'm like, what am I even looking at?
Right.
So like it's actually really nice to have for a viewer perspective because it kind of just like saves the day. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Overall, chat, you guys have any questions that we could ask, man? I feel like we broke it down pretty damn well.
Thanks for coming on, by the way, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, dude.
I'm
glad.
Yeah,
I want to see if Chad has any questions for you, any of the non-ridiculous ones. Because I know Chad is just a bunch of idiots from time to time.
We could definitely find.
Chat, you're fine.
We could find one or two good ones.
One or two good ones. We're not asking about the Loba swimsuit skin, Chat. That's not going to be the one we're going to ask. He works on weapons. Not Loba. Ooh, okay, wait. I'm seeing some. Chat, you guys are all horrible. Oh, okay. Okay, I like this one kind of. Any idea on what you would do for like a P20 RE? Because people find those weapons very useless. And they kind of find like they're pointless in the loot pool, especially now that the alternator is getting disruptors. Do you think that the P20 hammers is like enough to keep it relevant? Or do you think that like things can be done for weapons like that or they should even exist?
Oh, they should definitely exist.
Okay.
We need a transition of weapons, right? You need to
Gotcha.
drop. You need to have. It's kind of like loot filler, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to find a gun so you're not defenseless.
Okay.
But the nature of a BR is deal with the hand that you're dealt, and sometimes that hand is not very good.
Yeah.
And that's where the P2020 and the RE, that's when those come into play. Like they've got hammer points, so they have some transition into the mid game if it's all you can find, or you find these hop ups early and you're like, okay, I'm gonna run that.
Right.
But it's important to have the transition to early game, mid game, late game. Like that is very, very important for the feel and the pacing of the game.
Makes
so like
sense.
just taking them out of the loot pool and putting better weapons in there, that's not actually that healthy, because you want to be the guy that rolls up on somebody with a P2020 just as much as you don't want to be the person with the P2020. That
Yeah.
creates
That's fair.
interesting stories, that creates fun narratives within the game, stories that you're going to remember, like that time that I wiped a team with the P2020 because it's all I could find.
Yeah.
That's what makes our game interesting. It's what makes it fun. And if you just have your loadout right off the rip, you don't get those sorts of stories. So
That's fair.
as much as it might feel bad to sometimes be the person that only found it, it's important for the whole like pacing and the overall feel of a battle royale. And we don't want to lose that by just making things easy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Do you think that when Legends get like a nerf or a buff, does that affect the decisions you make on weapons at all, or is that a completely different category? Like, would you talk to like the devs that work on like character design and like hear about this character being buffed and this character being nerfed and make decisions accordingly to those weapons? Because obviously certain weapons are better on other characters.
Yeah, we definitely talk. Like,
Of course,
we
yeah.
always talk. Like, I
Yeah.
always know what's going on with the Legends team and what they're planning, their buffs and their nerfs. We kind of have our own sort of like my goals for the meta, like my goals for the weapon meta and the
Okay.
loot meta, and then their goals for the Legend meta. And while we try to align, we don't necessarily like make specific changes that are gonna like push a Legend to be better or something
Gotcha.
like that. Like they are all a part of a big ecosystem, but they are their own sort of spaces within it. So we try not to make decisions that would harm each other.
Totally.
But we don't necessarily like go out to like specifically make one Legend and a weapon combo really, really good or
Yeah.
anything.
That's very fair.
But like I'm totally fine with PK Disruptors pushing Jimmy up in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
That's like
You're not
oh,
against
that's
it.
a nice little bonus. Like, I like that.
I'm actually with you on that one, dude. I was curious because I always was like, I wonder if there's a correlation as to like this character getting buffed and then that gun getting nerfed, and it actually like works pretty organically. I
Yeah.
guess it's just how Apex works out. It's just
With a
Kinda
lot of
goes.
moving pieces, sometimes
Yeah.
it lines up really nicely, and
Exactly.
sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't expect that change. That's new. That's unique.
yeah, it's pretty sick. I actually did not know that. It's pretty dope. I always thought that would be the way. Now, one last question before we let you go.
This is like the third last
Well,
question.
I know, but I have so many. I want to keep you around. I feel bad. One last question, actually. What's your favorite gun and favorite class of gun to use yourself when you're playing?
Use myself. My
Oh,
favorite gun is the Wingman.
Oh,
Okay.
God damn it.
Like, it's just
No wonder it's not getting nerfed.
I
It's
know,
just so
right?
satisfying. Oh, well.
Wait a minute.
No. I treat them all equally.
Equally,
It's my favorite
I'm
gun to
just
use. I'm
kidding.
not the best with it, but it's my favorite gun to use
Okay,
because
that's
it
fair.
just feels so good.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it feels so good.
It does.
And my favorite class of weapon?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably marksman.
Okay.
Just
I
because
love marksman.
what they offer is that middle ground between the AR, the jack of all trades, and that super long range, super high damage sniper. It's just sort of like they're adaptable. You can bring them in like the triple take. You can use it as a shotty. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
it's
love the
got
triple take.
so much going on for there, and that adaptability allows you to kind of play in whatever range. And you don't feel so locked out if you have a sniper. It's like, I got to keep my distance. I got to keep my distance. It's like, you can swap. And we see it all the time. You can swap to that 30-30 and get that hip fire going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is usable here. And I think that's the reason why I appreciate what marksmen do to the game and,
Yeah.
and the sandbox and battlefield.
Totally. No, that makes sense.
It's a good answer.
I mean, I feel like everything you're saying doesn't make sense for me, for sure. And chat is asking about the bow check. Jesus. Okay, they want to know about the bow check. Any leakers? Anything?
And that's my cue.
And my contract is gone. Any idea that you could tease about the bow check? Are we keeping that in the care pack forever? Because these people apparently are obsessed with the bow check.
It's not a forever thing. It's just
Okay.
what arrows did to the loot pool. It made it pretty difficult to get the ammo that you needed.
Yeah, for sure.
So putting it in the care package is a way for us to clean up that loot pool and understand what are the right changes for the bow check to get it back onto the floor. It doesn't have a strong loot chase because it doesn't take many attachments, so finding out how do we get it onto the floor? How do we make it have a meaningful loot chase so that you're gearing up? You don't just pick it up right off the rip and it's ready to go. Like
Yeah.
we don't love that with our guns. We want you to find the gear and gear it up and get a an end game loadout.
Of course.
And if you don't have the attachments, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And if you have an ammo type that isn't as healthy for the loot pool because it's kind of diluting it in a way that's unhealthy, the care package is a better spot for it.
Yeah.
But that's not to say we're not looking at it. We're absolutely looking at it. We're trying to find ways that we can bring it back to the floor, but I don't have anything specific that I can share.
No, I mean, I'm pretty specific, to be honest. I think my chat just, like, literally wanted to make sure that shit was coming out, because apparently, why do y'all like the bow check so much, chat? Just pick up a longbow and be a better player. Literally, it's just the best weapon in the game. We should buff the longbow.
I'm with that.
We should definitely buff that weapon. I need to be relevant again big time. We should buff longbow and octane, and I can just play the game again for sure and be good. Dude, base wig Mandy, that's why you want to know. Since Mandy was asking, watching the stream. Makes sense. All right, well, man, dude, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Anything you want to say to chat at all? Like,
Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching LGS. Thanks for playing the game. Much love. Thank you.
Oh, no worries, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
That was
Great
awesome.
to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you guys, too.
Hey, we got another one. We ain't going nowhere, chat. Another dev coming on. Thank you so much, man. Seriously. That was awesome, dude. What a nice guy, dude. He was well-spoken as shit.
Absolutely.